first ever autonomous car race here. This is what we're hearing.
Within 1.2 seconds,
right
within
behind.
around 10 seconds of a human time around the Yas Marina
This is
circuit.
actually 4 cars that are competing against each other without any drivers. These cars were coded, programmed, and they will be attempting to beat one another. There is a $2.25 million cash prize. So it's happening right now. This is crazy. It's like history in the making. If you are as excited as me, well, please drink more coffee.
Whether the car is able to make the overtake or not when they send it down the inside.
The podcast is called While You Wait for Your Electric Car to Charge, or for the new EV technology and just autonomous self-driving car technology to come out. Well, you wait on here with me. And so these four cars are right now in the kind of, not pit, but they're on the racetrack. They're waiting to start.
That there's no human in the car, and it's going to
So
be running by
one
itself,
that's green,
and they
one
don't
that's
actually
red,
have
one
any
that's
control
blue.
over it once it moves.
It doesn't really matter. It's
Yeah,
more what's
there's
under
no
the
one to
hood.
get nervous, though, is there, in the car? It's only people in the pit lane who have absolutely no control of what's going on. All you can do is stop the race car when you're out there. How would you feel sending your baby out onto the racetrack?
Imagine that. So you can only like press stop. that's the only thing you can do is press stop if ever something goes wrong.
This is their baby, and they put so much time and effort into it. They've even got names, these cars. You know what I mean?
God,
So I'm just really excited to be.
Well, maybe not
part of
baptized,
this,
because we're
as you can
talking
hear.
Abu Dhabi, so I don't know.
The cars
So
already.
some sort
I'm just
of
excited to be part
thing.
of this amazing, groundbreaking experience.
Well, we got cars firing up in the pit lane, a
Behind
procession
firing
of
up,
the
yes,
lights,
because these are
showing
petroleum
where they're
cars,
at in
but with
terms of their
crazy
management
mega
of the
data and
engine
sensors
systems,
on
in
them,
terms of
algorithm
their
powered.
AI
So it's
control.
it's about to start. It's definitely about to start. It's happening in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League is having their first ever race. Four cars. I mean, this is crazy.
And Alex, we certainly do not know what we're going to see tonight, but we do know that history will be made in honor of His Excellency's vision for what this weekend would look like. It is time to release those AI race cars onto the track as we go racing here in Yas Marina.
Oh, bam. Let's relax music. All right. So what's happening right now?
Well, here we go then. History being made this evening in Abu Dhabi under the lights of the Yas Marina circuit for the first time ever.
It's crazy. These guys are like plugging, unplugging these computers. I'm pretty sure there's a coder or two there that are like freaking out right now.
Scientists, coders, and developers from around the world will be
like, when are
incorporating
we
cutting-edge
unplugging? I need to
technology
enter this line of code
into
before we
these
unplug.
racing cars, and have been doing so with the aim of reshaping the future of mobility through extreme sports. This is not your traditional motorsport racing event. This is a science testing event. We are pushing the limits of what autonomous cars can do through the vehicle of motorsport in what is essentially a public science.
I have like two sounds. Don't worry, people, don't worry. I'm gonna cut this one. Here we go. Okay, this is happening.
At the same time, teams of scientists, coders, and developers from around the world will be incorporating cutting-edge technology into these racing cars, and have been doing so with the aim of reshaping the future of mobility.
And there was an AI versus human driving car.
This is not your traditional motorsport racing event. This is a science testing event. We are pushing the limits of what autonomous cars can do through the vehicle of motorsport in what is essentially a public science experiment. Now, we have 4 cars out there. The Polymove team you're seeing at the moment, the Italian team with the car called Eva. Behind them will be Team Unimore in second. That's another Italian team. Gianna there in the burnt orange and black. Third will be Team 2, the German team. Haley in the blue and white. And behind them, Team Constructor. And their name is Constructor from Germany at the back and lining up last. This is how it's going to go. So the cars should be leaving the pits one by one. The leading car will be at a slightly slower speed, around 60 kilometers an hour. Then the rest will be released at around about 100 kilometers.
So they're giving all the specs of the cars and what they're able to do right now.
This allows the cars to bunch up and follow each other around to the start-finish on the main pit straight. Then we will get the formation lap under safety car conditions. We'll complete this lap behind the safety car, and when we reach turn 14 in the final sector,
so
we'll
the
go
thing you
from
need to
safety
understand is there are
car
only
to
4
full
cars
course
competing
yellow,
right now, but they were
slow
8.
them all down,
They were 8.
bunch them up,
now there are
and
4.
get ready
the 4
to
other
take
ones were kind
the
of
start.
disqualified.
It will
That's
be
what's
8
happening.
laps in
Okay,
total,
they're getting
2 of
green
them
light, people,
underneath
green
the
light.
safety car, and we'll be guiding you through it every step of the way. My name's Harry Benton. Alongside me is the former Formula 1 driver, Jolien Palmer. It's happening, Jolien. Driverless cars, autonomous technology, 4 cars taking to the Abu Dhabi track.
16 laps with 16 turns and a bridge, which could be a problem for the actual
we know
technology
from
in these
qualifying,
cars.
from everything we've seen, even the attack v defense, which went a little bit wrong for some, and others managed to get a clean pass. We know that they can do this on their own. We've seen some cooperate with other cars and race, but with big pace discrepancies between them.
Okay, so they're
but
just
now we've got 3 cars that are very even on pace. Constructor with a no-nonsense name of constructor for the car, heading out at the back. They've been a little bit adrift. But now they're going to be all together, starting
to kind of,
a race
heat up their
in a couple of laps' time.
Say hi to each other.
How are they going to react to having cars on track so close? It's a big unknown.
That is the big thing. So what the commentator just said is that it's the first time that you're seeing 4 autonomous cars on the same track at the same time, meaning a lot more variable and a lot more possibilities for accidents, people. A lot. So that being said, they need to make sure that they evade each other. Usually these cars have been alone on track or with only one other car, not 2 cars.
But now there are 4. Where the objects are as well.
It's the first time ever.
And this is where we'll see, basically, if it works.
Well, a month and a half, 2 months ago, that is when these teams got hold of these cars, and really, they were nowhere. They couldn't even get around a few corners. Now, though, the rate of improvement is dramatic.
They're not crashing into anything or nothing like that is happening.
Making their way around on the track at the moment.
So I'm Piper, and you're listening to While You Wait, the podcast that aims to entertain and educate you and everything and anything related to electric vehicles. Now, right now, we are assisting to this actual live race from Abu Dhabi. Autonomous Racing League. So they have started. They're on the track. The four autonomous cars that have won, 4 out of 8. And they're doing it, but it's not like
as well. Constructor.
I don't know. Okay, no, it's the speed up a little bit.
Small teams, Jolien, making up what's essentially racing teams. Especially when you're in Formula 1, you've got hundreds, if not thousands, of people making up a team.
Yeah, look at this.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in that pit.
Of engineers, of coders in the Unimore garage. There's plenty of them. You might wonder, what are they all doing to write a bit of code to send a car out onto track? They've all got their individual bit of code. So they'll break down the car's functions into each person's responsibility. So there'll be someone looking at throttle application and tyres.
Can you hear this? This is not an electric vehicle. These autonomous cars are not actually electric.
Then it all comes together
Some
to
of
the
the guys on the
overall
teams are either
center
12 years
of
old
it that gets loaded
or
into
they're
the
real
computer.
geeks. I mean, there's no beard there, no beard.
Operating at a high level, but we've seen that there are things going wrong, and they're all checking each other's work as well. So there's accountability throughout all the teams, but that is why there's a number of teams there.
It's so chill.
You can't overestimate.
There's only like 4 cars.
How complex this code is. I'm not a coder myself, but I've seen that it's a different world. But these are some of the brightest people in this world trying to do this. This is groundbreaking stuff. It literally is. And some of the detail that they're going into, one slip, one little misbeat.
I mean, some people are very against it, but quite frankly, there's no humans in there. There's like literally no humans
at the exact same time. This is history. We're currently on the formation lap under safety car conditions. They cannot get closer than 40 meters to each other. Once we get back around, we'll then complete this lap and we'll start to close up around turn 14 and bunch up ready for the race to begin. The first 2 laps will be under safety car conditions before we complete the remainder
so they're doing a lap of safety to collect data.
That is just due
That's what I'm gathering so far.
Protocols being put in place.
That's why nobody's like going in front of anybody, because they need to keep their spots in the line. So they're warming up.
Orange and black, the second of the teams. Team of 14 people at the moment, named Gianna, that team, headed up by Alessandro Tocci. They are currently in second. This is the team, though, at the back of the pack in 4th. Just made it through. This is Team Constructor from Germany with a base in Bremen.
Okay, so there's 2 German cars and 2 Italian cars. Now these are greatly sponsored, and of course they're filled with crazy technology. I mean, they have radar, LiDAR, camera, sensors. They have an actual computer in them so that they can make decisions in real time.
Having a bit of an up and down time at the moment. They lost connectivity to GPS in qualifying. They were really pleased just to make it through into the top 4 in what was a competitive session. The Hungarian team hummed the lab, just couldn't quite match Team Constructor to get into this top 4. But they're also looking at how they apply this technology into the real world, looking particularly at the likes of public transportation and safety in cars for inner city mobility as well. Each team very much with its own projects in mind to apply this technology into the real world. As we start to make our way through turn 14, where the field should now begin to bunch up, and we get closer.
The track is called Yas Marina. It's in Abu Dhabi.
What's going to happen then? The front car slows. Constructors just off the back at the moment.
16 laps.
Where are they? Spoke to the team earlier on. They had a stoppage.
16 laps,
they said it was that they lost contact with GPS for quite a long time. I said, was that a game over scenario? They were quite offended by that. They are using multiple devices and tools to get this car around, but if the GPS goes for too long, then the self-localization, the car doesn't know where it is, and they can get around it for a while with your radar, your LiDAR, detecting objects, but then it needs to find out where it is.
You won't see my face if you're
now
looking at this, but do not worry.
Constructor is. I'm looking out the window and I can see it. It's going to emerge into view in just a moment.
Yeah, just a little bit off the back. You'll see it out of the final corner now as we now get under safety car, and the race has begun.
If you want to be in the driver's seat, I know there are no drivers because these are autonomous cars, but you can actually go on Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League and be in the driver's seat with a VR experience.
So it'll just be a moment of holding on and hanging on for these first 2 laps, getting settled, trying to get a little bit more, crucially, Jolien, temperature into the tyres.
That's such a big task for all of the teams that we've had. 8 of them began, 4 of them didn't qualify for this 4-car
these are F2
race that we've got on our hands right now.
That are completely self-driving vehicles, completely autonomous, and they're racing against each other in the first ever racetrack team.
Didn't have tyre temperature, simply spun out. The car wanted to go through corners at a pace level that the tyres couldn't sustain. So that's why we're a few laps on the safety car to try and get the tyres
in-house team.
into a better working window. Although at this speed, there's probably not going to be a huge amount for these Yokohamas that they're running.
No, running very slowly behind these safety car
This race is being commented and is being broadcasted live from Abu Dhabi's actual autonomous racing league, and then I'm reacting to it live on the podcast while you wait for your EV to charge or for your car to self-drive itself home. Which should happen very soon, according to the technologies in these amazing cars that we're seeing right now.
They had an incident in attack and defend earlier on in the weekend.
We're moving on. It's starting to, I think they're starting to accelerate a little bit.
Looking at some computer issues that have been hampering their car in qualifying. They were pleased to make it through.
The thing is, even though you are like behind, you might have a better time, like because they calculate from the beginning to the start, you know. So a bit like in Le Mans or any other race, meaning you can have a better time than somebody else, even though you are behind somebody else. That's why they do put the times there. So Eva is number 1. Then we have
this is a platform to continue. They're gearing up for the first
totally Italian, right?
the Goodwood Hill climb.
There's nothing more Italian than that.
Of speed, and already tested the LiDAR and the GPS data
Haley,
from there
I guess
last year.
And that's what I didn't see any women in there. It was only guys. So, you know, since they don't have the time to have the girlfriends because they're coding this, well, they named the car the girlfriend. And then Constructor AI, that's, I don't know who. Not a girlfriend. No, Constructor AI is a bit behind. It's a bit behind.
VR camera, and if you download the A2RL app and you have the compatible VR glasses, you can use them and actually find yourself in well, where the seat would be, where the cockpit would be in these Super Formula cars, and find yourself driving around this track. It's a fascinating bit of kit.
You can do it in
make sure you download the A2R.
Which is really crazy because they have over I think 6 cameras in car
of cutting-edge technology powering us forward. End of lap 1 there. No overtaking at the moment as we are under safety car conditions. We'll come across the line for lap 2 under safety car conditions. This will be
I have them there. I'm trying to get into it. So the thing is, okay, more racing still live with Piper. Yes, the professional race cars driver must be super angry. Well, they're going to lose their jobs. This is a good point. This is a good point. It is. It's pretty chill. Quite frankly, it's pretty chill. But again, I mean, if you've assisted to a Formula 1 race, there are more cars on the track usually. Right now we're seeing only 4 cars, which makes the competitivity a bit different. They are all self-driving, so I don't know if they're more polite or whatever. But it's slower, but not really aggressive. It's not really aggressive, but we are seeing like this. It's extending. They're not getting closer. They're getting further away apart for some reason. I mean, I don't know why, but this is what's happening right now.
Almost quickly through that. Should be a relatively tight left-hander at turn 5. They're going as quickly through that as they are on the straight
cars.
At the moment.
And maybe that's the thing. Maybe what the whole aim of this race is to promote autonomous vehicles and to promote autonomous technologies. Like Kale is saying is boring. Well, yeah, it's boring, but I mean, do you want to die? That's the thing. If we implement this technology in our very own vehicles, well, maybe we'll have, more boring, but we don't have like Jacques Villeneuve's father who dies, you know? So there's things that it's boring, but they're really testing out that technology, and they're testing it in a super safe environment where there's nobody like crossing the street, no kid dropping their ball.
Turn 6 and 7 at the end of chicane, at the end of that.
People are going to want refunds. Well, when we went and saw F Electric, it was chill, but I mean,
bearing in mind there are
it was more sporty. It was more sporty. This is just like watching like what used to be like women's sports, you know. This is just now the women's sports getting way cooler. But before it was a little bit slower pace. I have nothing against women's sports, but it was getting it's slower. So far, it's a lot slower pace than what you would.
Away from seeing what they can all do together.
Yeah, just like the little.
Limitations.
Yeah, just like the soccer robots. You know these little robots that do soccer.
The teams to work out how quickly they want to go, how much they want to risk.
So somebody says it's good for sleeping, very relaxing. You still hear like the actual cars. These are petroleum motors.
When they accelerate, there is a brake pedal in that car. There is a throttle. It's controlled by hydraulic actuators, as is the steering column.
This is very different. This is very different. It's the first time ever that they're doing this. Now, the whole point was maybe not to recreate Pacific Rim, people, okay? That's not the whole point of this. The whole point was to test that technology within a space that most people could view it and well, be educated about it.
Quite an amazing moment.
Maybe they're not. Maybe they're going to need to implement a little bit of destruction in these AIs. But again, do you want destruction in your AIs? That's always the question. Okay, so
bunch up, and then effectively when they come around
NASCAR are allowed in America. Yes, they are. That's from Walter Johnson. Thanks for tuning in, Walter.
Of this race, the leading car.
the little red one is just in the back, and it's like, nah. I don't know. It seems like even on camera, it seems like they're going super slow. Why? Okay, so there are again in Formula 1 there is a lot of different camera angles, and they make it so that like the cars seem to go really fast. I don't know like if the same guys from the Formula 1 are filming this, but they look like they're going really slowly. Like yeah, this car is actually stopping. This car's actually stopping. The Tesla with the full FSD is more aggressive. Like I've seen some video of the Tesla FSD. Okay, some cars are just like plain stopped. So why are these stopped?
Of the final corner. Meanwhile, Gianna's close right back to Eva.
I tell you, this is not breakneck speed at the moment.
No.
This is not breaking up speed. No, they stopped. They just randomly stopped. I mean, I don't know if it's like the team behind them who makes them stop, or it's them.
And you can see the the front wheels.
This is Piper, and we are watching Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League. This is the first ever autonomous race in the whole history of the world. I mean, this is crazy. But so far, it is very slow paced. I think, yeah, the full self-driving of a Tesla would have definitely won, because I've seen some things where the Tesla, like you're walking next to it and it's like, yeah, I can do this. And then it's so tight, it pulls in the mirrors and it tries to go there. That's how FSD is going with Tesla. These cars just seem like super chill. There's no way these cars will take over humanity. They're probably gonna let us cross the road before they do. Oh yeah, it's true. They should have called him name of like really good stoners, because we're not seeing that crazy power there. The world is ready for this AI talent. Meaning it's slow paced, people. It's slow paced. When it rains, NASCAR waits until the weather is clear, but Formula Race, they drive on wet tracks. Yes, they do. They do. That's the thing. Right now, this is in Abu Dhabi. It is nighttime, so the conditions are a bit different, a bit colder, but it is also very windy. That's what we're seeing. And you are hearing the voices of the two other commentators on Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League's live right now.
This is a research and development exercise. This has never been done before.
So we are at lap 3 out of 8.
Completely autonomous, at speed,
so
on the same
Eva
track, making
winning,
their way around
like
in a race-style simulation.
We can't wait for
has
it to
not
be
been done before.
tie.
This is the first. There's always going to be teething issues, but all 4 cars are now running on the track. There is a bit of a gap now, though, between the top 2
There's like literally a guy who said that. I mean, okay, so this is different. Like the technology in these cars is crazy. Not to say that Tesla is not as crazy, but these cars are worth a lot more money than your Tesla FSD. I mean, they have more sensors. They have literally no pilot, and they go fast. Like these are not cars that you're supposed to take on your normal, just like Sunday.
So as soon as they've gone from safety car conditions,
can we see the speed? I think we can see like how fast it takes them to make a lap. We can't see the speed. I don't have speed. If you have speed, please do tell us in the live comment section.
Going at set speed underneath the sort of virtual safety car, to then going at what should be racing speed. Now we know that these cars can go at quite a speed. They're sort of 14 seconds off Daniel Kvyat's.
Okay, so they're not at full capacity right now.
They're 4 seconds off what the test car has done, which is the autonomous lap record. So they can do it, but they've just been a little bit bamboozled at following each other. And now actually this car, the Haley, the TUM car, looks like it's
40-second gap, 45-second gap is crazy.
It's going to slowly relearn how to go around this track with any level of pace. Meanwhile,
so what is cool when you're seeing a sport, usually it's the competitivity. So it's for it to be very tight, you know, to have a tie or a nil, what you call in the Europe. But right now these cars are so far apart that there's like no competition at all.
Coming around for another lap here, there's the...
But again, you can't yell at your driver and be like, come on, accelerate. There's no driver. Like there's nobody in the actual physical car. It's just doing whatever it wants to do.
PhD students from the University of Modena.
I think the way they're doing it with the speed is that they're following this kind of car, and then they're going to gradually go faster as they take data. So it's kind of like it's a race, but it's also like a data thing.
This is Team TUM, who had the issue coming into that final corner on the initial getaway. We still now under safety car conditions. The blue and white.
Exactly, like they say, they're under the safety car. Like so, they're still not going super fast, but they're gonna get there. They're gonna get there.
Is in, and we've got the green flag back underway. So it's Polymove who leads into turn 1. This is full autonomous racing now.
Like the bird is flying away.
And Unimore in second. It's the 2 Italians in first and second, and after the slight issues on the initial green flag.
Okay, so this is the green flag. So we're at lap 4 out of 8.
At the moment, playing for 3rd and 4th.
And that is why I think when we cut just then to the TUM garage where Haley is their car in 3rd, there was a lot of shaking of heads because they were getting back into the fray under safety car conditions. But with the safety car now being brought away, we're back to racing speeds, and these two are very much in a 2-horse race.
I'm going to restart this. Bam. Just recuperate. Okay, here we go. Play. Let's do it. Let's do it.
The Polymove car, locking the brakes. Round it went. That could bring Haley and Constructor AI
Eva's
back
out of
into
the
the fray.
race.
Full course yellow.
Yep.
Yeah, so I thought
So that's what's
the
happening.
leading car.
So these cars are
Eva,
driving themselves,
committed quite
meaning,
hard as soon as it was
meaning
back to
that
green flag
every time there's
conditions
one
in
car
the
that
first
has an
corner, but
issue,
it doesn't
they
take
pull
too
out
much.
the
They've been
yellow
travelling
flag, let's
around
call it
low
like that,
speed,
and then well
they
they
have
just
got
kind
it
of follow
going.
each other a bit
Do a
like
full
when there's an accident on a racetrack. So they keep their speed, they just keep on rolling, but it's not really the race, and then they just start again. So now it's starting.
Which way is the right way? Looks like they're sorting it out.
This doesn't know where to go.
The Politecnico Milano team watching on. Yeah, you can't exactly do a quick burnout 360 in these cars. They try and getting out of the way. Let's have a look, Jolene, on board and see what happened to the Polymove team.
Wall was getting closer as they were turning around, so I think this is going to be what we saw in qualifying for them. Yeah, just locking the brakes, and look at the rear brakes just locking with no rear grip, and then Unimore locked up as well.
So it just
trying
locked
to,
up. And then it turned like, hey, what's up?
Because the temperatures are low.
Yeah, tires definitely locked in. Now the thing is, these cars again, they're self-driving. So these guys that are in the pits are just watching them. They're not literally doing anything. Okay, they're collecting data and all of that, but they can't do nothing. They're just waiting with their computers there.
Smoke screen, but
we got replay.
Too confused about that. Goes round is thinking, where's the race
AI is
leader?
dangerous. That's when people are in there.
You're the race leader.
Now we have Dave Franco's here. Thank you, Walter Johnson.
So we've also got a constructor car.
So great. Don't forget to share this video so that we can all take part in the first ever autonomous car race in the whole history of the world. It's slow pace because there's things that keep on happening. So then. So they're stopped. Everybody's stopped right now on the actual circuit. That's what's happening because the car's like not moving. Like that Eva one.
So there's some issues going on at the moment. Team who were the initial stoppers, now the only ones making their way around on the track. So something's happened to Unimore as well, having got through.
There's just like one car that's on the track and they're just kind of chilling there, you know?
It obviously has,
the guys are freaking out.
Car had a spin, but it was already past it really with that lockup before it realised that we saw it stop and then went again. And now Constructor has come to a stop and the race leader has come around to lap it. Is still half a lap ahead of this.
This is crazy. The comment is crazy. Again, think of it that way. We are having the very first like autonomous car race. The point is, of course, we want them to be a bit competitive and to give us a good race. But if we are going to be implementing that technology into our vehicles, like literally the vehicles that we are inside of, and our children are going to be driving, I mean, you don't really want them to want to crash into each other, right? This is not the type of like AI that you want driving your car. That's a good point. That's a good point. You do want them to get to their destination at some point, and so far, it's not happening. It's not happening. They're just stopping right there and there, and yeah, and some people say like, why is Tesla not there? Okay, this is very different though. Keep in mind, this is very different. I'm not saying Tesla will, I mean, I don't know, win and not win. Where's Elon? I have no idea. So maybe it's definitely in the comment section somewhere. Because the FSD is definitely a bit more like intense, but again, FSD may be put into one of these cars would be awesome, but FSD is put into like the model. Again, the Model S and all of these other Tesla models, not in a race car. What we're seeing right now is race cars, like Formula 2 cars, which is completely different. But I'm not saying Tesla could not later have an écurie. Also, those cars are actually petroleum powered, meaning that these are not EVs. If there was a Formula, I guess a Formula Electric that also did autonomous racing, then I'm pretty sure Tesla should definitely be on board with this. Rivian and all of the bigger well, EV companies should do a race just for self-driving. That would be really interesting to see. Or like, even if it's not literally sponsored by them, but if people do organize that, I'm definitely going to be there. Invite me, please, because I'm Piper, and this podcast is called While You Wait to Charge Your EV, or to get the latest information on anything and everything related to autonomous or just electric vehicles in general. So all of this newer technology that we are seeing in the automobile space. And yes, that could be related to anything that flies, drive, or whatever, but we're going to try to keep it on that right now. So there are in the racetrack that is called Yas Marina, sorry, which is in Abu Dhabi. This is a real racetrack for Formula 2 racing. And well, they've been like testing, they've been doing things all over the weekend, but right now, I mean, they're doing this like real race. The problem is the cars have like literally stopped. So let's go and hear those commentators a little bit again.
It sees the cars up in front of it, it's noticed them, it knows they're there with the GPS, the radar, the LiDAR, the cameras, but because we're on full course yellow, as you say, Jolien, it doesn't want to overtake because that's the code.
They're all stopped right now. They're literally all stopped on the track.
Impressive technology, not ideal for a race, but it's impressive technology that we've managed to see four cars run together.
Right now, the cars are just
four cars
parking.
Stop on the same straight.
But
very, very polite.
You know what? There's no drivers in them, so I mean, the drivers are not like, oh man, I have to go pee.
It's working. They can obviously see what's around.
Maybe they're going to reboot their
with
car.
all those.
Have you tried to turn it on and off again? Yeah.
These cars for it to realise when it should advance and when it shouldn't. There's a car ahead, so it has recognised that quite clearly, as has the car in front of that.
I don't know. Maybe they're waiting for the car to decide.
We heard something. We're going to get another look at the incident that kick-started all this.
So as I've been told, they're new generation's cars, so they don't work if they don't want to work. That's what's happening. That's literally what's happening. So there's one car that stopped on the circuit, and then that made kind of all the other cars stop too. That's what happened. Now, this is very interesting because this race is not very entertaining in that sense. Yeah, because there's no race happening right now. but the thing is really, this race is about testing that technology. Yes, it is for your entertainment, but it's for these teams to test the technology that they've got in a real stressful environment with other race cars. So 4 cars on a real racetrack in Abu Dhabi, the racetrack called Yas Marina. It's 16 turns and 16 laps supposedly, but I'm seeing only 5 out of 8 laps right now. The yellow flag has been pulled, and so these cars are just like waiting, and we don't know what they're waiting for. So let's listen to these guys. What are they saying?
We'll do the formation lap, only one, and then we'll try and complete the remaining laps. But lap 5 of 8, I wonder how much we'll get in. But the remaining cars then will make their way back to the pits, and we'll reassess where we are once we're able to get them into the pits, and then see where the Polymove team lie.
In the days of old, 75% race distance was considered a race. We're not quite there. Five and a half. Yeah.
The guys are like saying, yeah, it's not really a race. Well, not at this time.
These 4 got into the race, and that's the main thing. They managed to drive around together.
The guys
They've
are just there waiting.
Some ability.
It's not like you can tell your driver, okay, like accelerate or something. Like, they're just doing nothing. There's computers there. They're not even touching the buttons. You've got all these programmers, all these teams just waiting.
Any of them into the barriers. They've recognised danger, and now they can bring it back.
Ever 4-0 race not found. This is really true. This is really true.
Adventures so far at technology shows in Germany, and how that research can be applied to the real world. They have
like completely off the tracks, waiting. Now we have the blue car. I think that's called Gianna. She's racing a little bit. She's doing something there.
They've had a few computer issues.
But yeah, with herself.
At the moment, after a bit of an
racing with herself.
They are now benefiting from what's happened to Polymove and Eva, but they will make their way to the right-hand side.
I mean, it's still pretty cool. You never know what's going to happen. You never know.
The other German team
on board.
has
Here we
already
go.
made their
on
way
board of
back
Ailey.
to the
Okay, so we got some.
Unimore,
we got some driving. They're going to the pit.
Orange.
They're going to the
black
pit.
Livery.
This is
Super Formula
she stopped before the pit.
Representing Italy has also.
She's giving out how she got.
Made its way back into the pit.
They're losing joy. It's fast.
Doing that. That is Gianna.
I mean, this is very interesting. again, they needed to have a race to be able to really experiment in, oh my God, they're pulling out a crane. I mean, they're going to tow that car. Eva's getting towed. I mean, this is happening. She's getting towed. Poor thing.
Help the development here. Just a team of 14 people in that garage. With Polymove, the team's going to be recovered 12 to 13 people.
Well, that's the thing. So you never know until you test it out, and that's always like that with coders or programmers. You know it if you're one of them. Well, you can push anything you got. When you push something, there's a chance it might just not work. And they had all this new data from this evening, like nighttime track, and all of this weather, the wind, and all that. So all that being said, I mean, they pushed new code maybe, and that has flopped. Whatever, it doesn't matter. They still got all of this data, and of course it's their fault because if you're a programmer, you're making the errors yourself.
So far, what about it has sparked your interest of Impress?
Well, so many firsts for autonomous racing today. The AI versus
even the first car stop.
And now a world record of autonomous racing vehicles on the track at the same time. It's just an amazing day for the sport.
Lawrence, we were talking with the Polymove and then Unimore taking the lead. You were really happy for that team. Talk about a little bit.
People are going crazy in the live comment section on the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing YouTube channel because that's where they're broadcasting live, and we're doing a reaction video on it on the podcast that's called While We Wait. Now, the thing is, I mean, of course people paid for it, but that's like any early adopter thing. You pay for it to support this new technology and to support this possible race. Like I said, we're not in Pacific Rim yet. But if you want to see car crash into each other, they could definitely just tweak it so they crash into each other and have like an autonomous derby. But that was not the point of this race. The point of this race was just to have 4 cars on the same circuit compete against each other without any drivers. Like for all of this technology to really work. Now, of course, some of it is not working. That's what's happening right now. like this is a bit of a longer and less entertaining race because it's not really tight or there's no tie or nothing like that. Not yet, at least. But you're used to something that is completely different. You're used to drivers who are behind the wheel of these cars and drivers that you love and the risk of them dying on the track, which makes it very entertaining for most. And then, well, in this type of race, there's no drivers involved, which makes it a bit of a different sport. I mean, it's like robots, it's AIs. So if you wanted to see like car crashes into each other, well, definitely go to a derby, go see F1. This is completely different. So of course the outcome is going to be completely different. Like some guys saying like the future is stupid. Well, actually the future did not kill you yet, which is pretty good. Because like pretty good. So far these are really safe. Like from what we're seeing, if there's anything you can take, this is the safest ever. They don't go fast, they don't go far. As soon as one of them is stopped, everybody else is stopping. So if you're looking to implement this technology into your car later, this is great advertisement for AI cars. They stop when it happens. So it's not garbage per se. So they are actually towing, or more like putting Eva on a tow truck to, I don't know, to do what with her, to reboot it. So we are seeing that Giovanna is in park mode, and then constructor AI is in park mode too. They're pulling one of the cars. It seems really light. There's only 3 guys like pushing that car. I think they're pushing constructor AI. So they're pushing it. They're probably gonna, I don't know, reboot them, do something with them so they can continue the race because they're at like 5 out of 8. So these other 3 guys are pushing the blue car, which I think was maybe Ailey, but I'm not sure, or Giovanna. Yeah, maybe. That being said, I mean, this is what's super interesting about this. If you're just tuning in, we are here on the podcast while you wait for your EV to charge, and we are assisting in the live format at the very first autonomous race. Yeah, that's happening in Abu Dhabi right now. If you are not assisting at this live, well, don't worry. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast and our podcast playlist. On our YouTube channel, the podcast playlist is named While You Wait, the same exact name as the podcast. Greg Sullivan is saying, if you're not first, you're last. Well, yeah, so that's how competitive it usually is. Like, even people who win second are like, no, that I didn't win. Second is not a real thing. But please invite your friends, because this is quite interesting. This is okay. So we got another parked car. Everybody's just like parked right now. Like they're all parked. they're all going back to the pit. To do I don't know what. Let's hear this.
Initial beginning of the race.
Okay, so he's doing a replay. So we're gonna skip that for now.
Yeah, they're gonna do a lot of replays.
A lot of replays because because there's nothing that's happening. No. Yeah, but they need to figure out what to do with the cars. So if you're just tuning in, don't worry. We are looking at A2RL, that's Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League. It states that it's A2, like A square, because they say that they mix sport and science together. Right now, there's more science than sports. People like for sports to be very dangerous, blood, stuff like that, crazy stuff. And there's not that much competition going on here because these cars are all stopped. They're going back into the pit to kind of do something with them, so that's happening. You need to understand that these cars are wonders of technology. And when I say wonders, they're AI powered. They have like these crazy sensors. So we're talking camera, LiDAR, radar, GPS, and everything else. So at the place of the cockpit where you would have the driver, it's actually a huge computer that's processing all of this data with, of course, AI algorithms. And then the car can make decisions. So there's nobody who controls the car. It's not like an RC car where there's somebody controlling it from afar. There's literally nobody who controls the car. I think the only thing the people behind the cars can actually do is stop the car, and that's it. They're not supposed to touch or implement any new code while the car is driving. The car is supposed to do that all by itself. And then, well, when one of them stopped, the other ones decided to stop for some reason. That I guess the coders are still gonna. They don't want to pass. Maybe that's why. So this is a great time for this technology to be tested, and it's the first time ever that it's being tested with 4 different vehicles on a racetrack. Right now, Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League is aiming on doing two more of these races next year in 2025 at the time of this recording. One in Europe and one in Asia. They haven't said where yet because they're trying to land those contracts and land those deals. They are saying that the one in Europe is supposed to be on a really, really popular racetrack, so maybe Monaco, I don't know. And then, after that in 2026, they want to have 3 races. We're talking about races for race cars because they have a lot of other plans. The other plans would be for autonomous drones, autonomous off-road buggies, and autonomous sea vehicle experiences. Let's hear what's happening in this race.
With no driver to give the feedback, you want to just keep a stable platform on the setup. There's so many elements to this car that you could tune, and that'll be somewhere for the future to open that up for the teams as well, yes, to work in harmony with the code. Things like your suspension settings. The roll stiffness is very stiff for these cars. It's set up to try and get the temperature in. So you increase the roll stiffness, you generate more tire temp through your mechanical stiffness.
So what they're doing right now is they're literally parking the remaining cars because Eva's kind of out of the race for now. They're parking them so that they can restart the race.
So that's an area for future development, but as it is, it's all down to the code on the computer underneath the cover in the cockpit there. That is what is controlling this. And I quite like it that way.
They are
it's
losing a lot of watchers. Well, because the race is kind of stopped. I mean, it's kind of stopped.
But developing for the future.
So the Eva car is on a tow truck, and it's being towed right now. I'm probably going to come back into the race
next year. Also moving to water-based boat AI technology in what will be a global reach for autonomous technology when it comes to being pushed.
I would cause these cars to go to max speed. Yes, okay, this is a thing. This is a thing. The race, of course, is a race. It was meant to go fast, to go as fast as any other F2 cars. So super driving Formula cars. But the problem is that there's a whole bunch of other technology in there that they wanted to test. So the point was not necessarily, of course, it was to win the race with the technology you got under the hood, let's call it like that. But it was also to test all of that, and they had no idea how that would work in a real race. That's why they're doing that. But now they're going to know more, and next race might be a bit more entertaining and less engineering. Let's call it like that.
You're obviously missing various human elements that are the key attractors.
Okay, so the guys of every team are like looking at the cars and are just like, I don't know if they're rebooting from afar, because I don't see any guy plugged in with like his computer, PC, whatever. So they're lifting the cars. I mean, the cars are parked, but I don't see nothing plugged in. Nobody's like plugging in, no nothing. I mean, maybe a virus would be cool. Yeah, these are not like drone cars, because these are really autonomous. There's nobody controlling them. They have all of the data in them so that they can control themselves. The problem is they decide to stop. So what's happening?
You can see flat spots both front and rear. A very quick tyre change going on here, which would suggest that car is going to be taking part then in the second phase of this race, simultaneously to what appears to be a very quick recovery. If you just spin us round there,
they just need to kind of get all these vehicles in the pit,
the cars are now getting prepared to fire up again.
So
for the start of the second phase of the race. Of course, the Unimore car now taking the lead.
Go grab a beer. I mean,
as a result
just chill out. It's Saturday. Whatever.
Constructor and Tomb falling back away from the pace at the start of the race when we crossed over from safety car speed, virtual safety car speed, then to full racing speed. It would appear those gaps then will be deleted again. So we'll start from status quo.
One car is plugged right now.
Then into
so
the
there is
second
some plugging
phase of the race,
involved.
but
now
really,
they're plugged to these
I think the story of all of that, the impressive story of all of that, was the evasive action from the Unimore car, which is exactly
the guys are plugged in. The guys are plugged in, so I don't know what they're implementing or what they're doing.
This stage is all about seeing the car up the road.
Control Alt Delete. Let's just let's start it over. Don't push anything new, guys. Don't push anything new. There's a chance it's not gonna make it.
Down here. About applications to road safety. When a car spins in front of you, your car is able to acknowledge that spin and then take evasive action. Early days in terms of the pace, certainly, and perhaps not as flat out.
Okay, I'm Piper, and we're watching this actual race called Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League. It's the first ever race, but right now there's no racing happening. There's no racing happening. If you're there in the live comment section, thank you for being there. Make sure you share this video with anybody or everybody that is interested in autonomous vehicles and their impact on the world, because this is definitely happening. I mean, this technology is there, so it will be making its way into our cars, much like the Tesla FSD, full self-driving mode. So this is same but different, and then they're testing it out, and they're putting so people are running away from the cars. So I think we're gonna get a bit of action there. A little bit of action is gonna happen
at the back of the field, having started on pole.
Okay, so they unplugged them.
They do a little bit of rearranging and where they take the timing line back from in terms of restarting this order. But there you can see there a real nice view of that computer stack and all of the technology that goes inside it.
And so I think it's something you need to think about when
like
doing
a
self-driving autonomous cars. 16 laps might be too much, you know.
Brake actuator
this is a lot.
Is safety, integrates fallback strategies to handle emergency situations, which might well have been the impetus for that almost emergency brake that Alex was talking about with the Polymove car, the corner brake actuator being the legs of the car. Then you have the hands of the car, the pinion-type steering actuator. That ensures the accurate steering.
Now the thing is, all of these cars, they're controlled by all the technologies in the cars. This is quite fascinating. I mean, this is the first time ever, and it's pretty impressive on an engineering point of view, or on a just self-driving point of view.
Open control unit used to easily manage all the electronics and the systems. That is the battleground here. This is not your traditional motorsport event. It is the computer. It is the coding.
Exactly.
That
it's
is our battleground. The
like
race against code.
You can't expect
code
F1
can be
with
written
this.
incorrectly,
It's not F1. It's
leading to
autonomous
mistakes.
self-driving.
We've
It's
seen
really
that,
like those little like robots that play soccer. This is exactly what it is. So it's not as fast-paced. It's exactly like the little robots that play soccer.
Turned in too early, coming into the triple final right-hander of turn 12 and found the wall. So that can happen. But
okay, there's
more
still one guy
information
plugged in with his
looks like
computer.
Polymove is getting a little
He's
bit
like
of a
literally
reboot
plugged
from
in
the
the
team.
car,
Let's head back down to Alex.
He's totally a nerd.
Certainly a reboot for Polymove. I've just noticed down here, interesting, these cars have been out on track. We've been talking so much about temperature management of all the cars in terms of keeping the tyres hot, keeping the computers cool. Have a listen into this. Look, this is how hard the electronics are working.
Oh yeah, you can really hear that, right?
Flat out in there. The fans extracting energy and temperature from those computers.
Oh my God!
And
imagine what's the little pace, like the cooling pace on that motherboard CPU. Man, must be like some crazy cooling pace. 1 inch of cooling pace on there. I mean, definitely some components are gonna fry.
All the kit they've got under the hood here, and just the whole. I don't know if you get a sense of it on the microphone. The grid here is just humming with cooling fans. That's how much energy these cars creating underneath that sensor stack.
You need great cooling systems because these are computers on wheel, people. This is definitely what it is. It's a computer on wheel. It has sensors, radars, cameras. I mean, algorithm. It has all of that happening all in this one car. So of course it's gonna need like crazy cooling. Plus it needs to go fast, which is crazy. Which so far they're not going that fast. Now I have no idea when they're gonna restart this. But
mention some of the work they're doing as well when they're pushing the limit of this technology.
I think like they can't start the race again because it's gonna be just like one car. Yeah, somebody says Control Alt Delete. Yeah, totally. This is like really happening.
Because of the famous Mille
they're still all there in the pit right now. Well, not the pits, but like kind of, sort of. It's a weird pit, you know, because
different road types. So they are using
what operating system they're using? I have no idea. Are they on Linux?
Projects that they've got going on.
Linux. What do you think they're on?
To get this race restarted.
Leave a comment. What do you think? Yeah, what operating system are they on? What actually like does that?
Let's check in with Amanda and Kojo.
DOS? You think they're on DOS?
And Coach, as you've made your way back over to this
so
side of the racetrack on these
and things like that, while you wait for the actual race to start, well, we can talk. So bring a friend. Let's talk in the live comment section on this YouTube podcast. If you are actually not there when it's live, don't worry. Just leave a comment. We love all of your comments here. It's quite interesting. I mean, this is a moment of history, even though it's not going very, very fast. Everybody's like putting plus signs in the live comment of the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Auto Racing. I have no idea what they're putting plus. Maybe because it's kind of a coder thing. I don't know. Minus, plus, minus. This is somebody's trying to hack YouTube, I think, right now. This is what's happening.
From the track this morning right now, I know you hung out.
So the thing is, well, they are saying that they're doing a reboot of some of the cars or just like adapting their not hardware, but software. So they're plugged in, and then they will continue the race. The whole point is to make this technology, well, not available to everybody yet, but for you to understand what this technology can do. I mean, this is quite fascinating. Quite fun.
They're using LiDAR, and even Musk's LiDAR is not
really interesting. Okay. Oh, but they're using, so using LiDAR would be too slow for self-driving cars. So now we can see why. But they're not only using LiDAR. So they're using LiDAR, radar, camera, sensors, and of course algorithm to process all of that. So AI algorithm to process everything. Right now we are seeing like tire pressure and things like that.
What's in there? The graphics department back in the production office. You can see the temperatures between the front tires and brakes and the rear tires and brakes.
Very different.
Julian, the big issue that the teams have encountered under the lights is the lack of temperature.
Yeah, they want to get those tires up towards 100 degrees of temperature, and at the moment,
right.
Is that the
30s.
rough temperature? What is it in a Formula One car that you need?
I mean, a Formula One car that's changing so much. You start a lap at 70 degrees and you finish a lap at 120.
The Abu Dhabi officials are saying good things take time in the actual live comment section.
all of motorsport.
It's not over until it's over. So meaning that they want you to all stay there.
Brakes to be performing at their peak.
I mean, we're doing our best to actually entertain while this is happening.
You send out a human in the car,
there is.
and they'll be doing
this is a reaction video. This is a reaction video to the race. So you're having my real instant reaction. I mean, some people are saying this is the future. Well, okay, yeah, this is the future for now. We're not saying it's going to be the future. Like, there is like $2,200,000 to be won at this race. Yeah, like totally. 2.25 million dollars for the team who will win this race. There were 8 cars at the beginning, and now there are only 4. Okay, those 4s are. Then there were 3. Then there will be 1. And they're still coding things. They're still. I don't know, rebooting, making sure everything works. This is quite the thing. When I went and saw the Formula One, I have to say that the Formula One Electric, so F1 Electric. FE, so they call it FE, Formula Electric. It was fast. It was really fast. It was really fun. Again, we had like real drivers behind the wheel. Those were just electric vehicles. That was the only difference, was that it was electric vehicles. I did not feel like it was very different. Yes, a lot more silent. These cars that we're seeing right now on the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League track, like on the Yas Marina track in Abu Dhabi, well, those are actually not EVs, so they're gasoline powered. So you can hear them when they're actually on, because right now they're not racing. They're just there's this guy inputting code. I don't know why they're filming his computer. Like maybe he's giving out like real good code to people. Just copy paste that. Put that somewhere else. Of course, there's a team of like crazy geeks, engineers, and scientists behind every single car that like you're seeing there. Ubuntu, they're on Ubuntu. Well, interesting. Okay, so I don't know if that's good for Ubuntu or not. I mean, because so far nothing crazy is happening. They do have all of the same data, so that they do, and then with this data, they can program or code however they want the car to be. So they share the same like base data from the autonomous car that drives the circuit, and then they take all of that and they do whatever they want with it. Of course, like every coder is going to implement their own line of code. They need to make sure that these cars stay at the right temperature and that they can actually race. So that seems to be a big problem, the temperatures of the car, for some reason. I mean, just like in regular F1, the temperature of your tire is a big thing. They don't need to really care about the safety of the driver because there are no drivers. These are just like self-driving. They're autonomous. There's nobody in them or nobody controlling them from afar. They're alone, making the decisions alone on their own. That's super easy to understand. Too cool that A2RL must be expensive. Of course, they must be like super expensive, these cars. That's why they have sponsors, and they are like, they have the most technology in them. Well, so from what we know. Now, I have no idea how this technology will maybe be sold later. A lot of people in the comment section on the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing are saying like, Tesla, why are you not there? Again, this is like gas-powered vehicles. It's F1s. Tesla, I don't think has, well, they had the Roadster, but that's like the closest thing they had to an actual F2 car. You think the Roadster would have one? Even though it's electric? So that's the thing, Tesla racing mode or Tesla ludicrous mode. This is really interesting. It's really interesting. So maybe a Tesla, it would be great comparison to have a Tesla on the track with all of these like super mega Formula 2 cars and see who wins as much on software than on like speed. Because of course a Tesla doesn't go as fast as these cars, but so far they're not going fast. So far there's no fast there. So we are still waiting for them to start moving. They are too square. No idea how square they really are, but they're still plugged in, and they're moving things around. They're moving things around. I don't know who decides when it starts again. Maybe they have this thing where they want everybody to be there and everybody to be in the race. So So they are waiting for everybody to be ready. Let's tune in.
The second part of the race, it's always interesting, as you can see, you may have been seeing throughout the weekend or throughout the race event so far, this light on the top of the roll hoop here. It's a progression of lights to show the team exactly what's going on with the car. Green light means ready, but the car is safe to approach. But as we head down the pit lane, have a little bit of a look at the constructor car. You can see this purple light on the top of the roll hoop here. That means that the AI, when it's flashing, is starting to take control. When that light then goes solid, it means the AI has taken complete control. And indeed, when they lose that purple light on the top of the cars, it means the AI has lost control. So a really interesting indication for the teams and a really a safety feature on these cars.
Yeah, because you don't want that car to start. There's like this guy that's between like a part of the hood and the
never to stand in front of a car when that purple light is on. It's entirely under AI control. It's going to take off down the racetrack like a shot. So
like a shot,
yeah, it's an interesting safety feature on top of the cars. Interestingly here, several of the cars have started the engine. Polymove's still waiting with the jump jacks underneath the car and with the batteries plugged in. But we'll be expecting them to get fired up and potentially rejoin the action.
You wait for your EV to charge or for this. Okay, we're waiting for the green light. There it is. There it is.
Out onto the racetrack once more, swiftly followed by Tom and constructor. So we're back underway.
Eva's like.
Yeah, cheers, Alex. So first three cars making their way out onto the track. It's Unimore who will head the field, then Tom, then constructor, and then hopefully Polymove will get out of the pits. The final car still up on its jacks, as you can see there. The Italian team. Thumbs up though from the mechanic. That's good news.
It's up in
the
air.
car named Eva, who had pole and the initial lead of this race. And hopefully we'll try and catch back up. We completed 5 laps. We'll get a couple more to get to 8.
Yeah, we need to get to 8 people. We need to get to 8 laps. So far 5 have been done.
I wonder, is this actually the end for Polymove being rolled back to the
Polymove
garage?
Is like not in the race anymore right now. So the car named Eva. Yeah, retirement.
Looks like
That's what guys saying. Retirement.
So I think
okay, but the other cars, you can hear them now.
They've obviously got still a bug somewhere in the code, and they're not happy to release it because mechanically, that car was sound. It had a lockup. They changed the tyres, the brakes. I'm sure will be okay on that as well. It crucially didn't hit a wall, which was an impressive enough feat in itself because it was pointing that way, trying to get itself turned around.
You must be so sad now. That whole team must be like
this
really
is
crying.
a code issue where they're not happy to send that car back out.
So it's a code issue, they're saying.
They've not found the bug or the update. So we've got 3 in it.
Okay, so we got 3
a real shame
cars
then, no
Polymove.
The team from Italy
so
with Eva as the car.
They're warming up their tires.
End their race
Eva is out of the race.
Let's hope then we can get the last few laps of this race underway. We're currently on the full course yellow. Well,
okay, so they're still at yellow. They need to go to green to be like full speed and all that. So they're still doing like safety laps. I know nobody likes that, but
bunches up. But actually, we've just seen a change. We've now reduced it to 7 laps. So let's see what happens here. It's Unimore who leads the way in front of Tum, then constructor. It's Italy versus Germany behind in this testing experiment, and we're going to go straight for it. Green flag racing straight away, and we are back underway for the first ever Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League, and it's Gianna Unimore in Italy who lead the way from Team Tum behind, coming into the left-hander of turn 1, both making it safely through. A bit of a slower start for constructor. They don't have the outright pace compared to the top 2, just hoping they can get to the end. No Polymove after an incident early on, couldn't make the restart on this race, an issue with the code, but coming now into the left-hander, making their way onto the back straight. Let's see, closing up under braking, and it's a move for down the inside for Team Tum to take the lead. What's happened to Unimore? Has it come to a halt on the outside of the corner? Constructor goes through. The GPS, the radar and the LiDAR slows the car down to acknowledge there's an obstacle there.
The other one kind of starts, it's like, are you okay, bro? And then it continues. So far only like 2
had the lead of this race on the restart.
There were 4 and now there are 2.
What a move as well for Team Tum, making hay while the sun shines.
Well, the lead car, Gianna, wasn't even stationary when Haley, the Tum car, came through. Now it leads. And this is it. This was the car that lost so much time. Do you remember? I gave you the old story of the hare and the tortoise,
AI is really
Harry.
safe, people.
Here we go. What happens if the tortoise wins? Toma leading.
Well, hang on. We've still got a little way to go yet. But at the moment, the top two cars, well, it's Team Tum and Constructor AI, who have been at best fourth in terms of outright pace. Currently in second. They're about 20 seconds behind the leader. We'll see if Unimore can get going with Gianna. There's no poly move. Eva is out of this race. But Team Tum, who was so gutted in qualifying earlier on today, they were looking on course for a sub 2 minute lap time around this track, which is saying something sensational. They had an issue with their computer. They couldn't get going. But there is the stricken Unimore car on the inside of the hairpin.
And I think it's lost AI control. The purple light on top of the roll hoop was no longer illuminated. Now, we're hearing that Eva lost internet connectivity, and that's why when it was trying to get the car was being recovered, they had to drop out, they've lost connectivity, and they couldn't get it working again, functioning. I wonder if there's been a connectivity, just a simple connectivity issue for the Unimore car.
Give yourself access, whitelist yourself, I don't know, do something.
That is why it's just come to an abrupt stop.
Wow, Haley
History
won.
made
Well,
as we cross the line.
That was
the first ever Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League. And it is won by Team Tum of Germany.
This is so cool. Okay, this was like the
Constructor AI with troubles for their Italian counterparts. Unimore and Polymove not able to make the finish.
No.
After 6 laps with a restart in the middle.
6 laps. This was the quickest
a completely autonomous racing car
the pit stop
has made
and the
an
fact that it
overtake
stopped
and
working.
raced around this
Longest 7-lap race. Yeah, if you count the stopping. If you count the stopping. They're super happy, so they're celebrating. Now, okay, what do you think about this, people? Come on, get in the live. Yeah. Is this computer water safe? I mean, I don't even know. Where's the champagne? Where's the champagne? I mean, this is a race. This is a race. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in. We are here live with the first ever autonomous car race. And well, there was 4 cars. One won, Haley, her name is, and she's from Germany, from what that is said. 2 other cars did not make it, like literally did not make it. One of them lost internet connection, and the other one, well, we have no idea yet because it was in the final lap that it kind of stopped working. Whoa, this is very interesting.
And where do they come? Second, and get a share of the $2.2 million prize pot.
Yeah, it's huge. This is what it means to these.
This was the first in all of history. Is the first time that autonomous cars were competing against each other on a racetrack. First ever. Yes, it was not that entertaining. I have to admit, like seriously, not that entertaining. But it's the beginning. Yeah, like Max Power says, it's the beginning of autonomous driving. And again, maybe racing, we're going to want to see humans behind that wheel. Yeah, $2 million. They won $2 million to upgrade their system. Yeah, buy a new CPU, buy some Mighty Putty, I don't know. Do something with this. But the main thing with all this technology is that, well, this is like the early adopter version of that technology, and people pay to be there and all of that. But later on, that might be the technology that's going to be in our cars. If Elon Musk is like all for it, or maybe Elon is just working on his very own things. Yeah, well, he has to be watching this, right? Elon has to be watching this. He has like the full FSD and all that. Yeah.
Getting close to ascend regardless, but of course Unimore not exiting the
on the
corner.
Actual Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League channel, because that is what we're broadcasting behind me. We are reacting to this race
finish
live.
To take the prize.
No one has ever had 4 completely autonomous single-seater racing cars racing it out.
I mean, this is crazy. I think it's like they got late for the first time. I mean, they worked so hard on these cars, for sure.
To kick off the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League, and what we hope will be...
So right now what's going to happen is that, of course, they're going to celebrate. There's going to be the podium and all of that, just like in any race. That's definitely what's going to happen. If we know something about, well, all of that technology so far is very little. I mean, they've been like kind of all through the race telling us what's been happening and diagnosing, and we've got some results there, like the fact that Eva was missing some Wi-Fi, so had lost connection to the internet, but the whole mechanics of her just worked. Now, they're going to process all of this data, and they're going to be able to implement like better programming, better code to make it so these cars can definitely race better, but also can be in more realistic environments. Like this is a racetrack. This is not like full self-drive with people and all of that. It's very different.
We're open and honest about that, but this has been a science experiment done in...
They can definitely hack into the other car and shut it down to win the race. That's a good point. That is a good point. That meaning that maybe that's what's gonna that is what happened. Maybe some people that were there were like, oh, okay, we're just gonna hack into the other car and make it lose its Wi-Fi. We're gonna blacklist them from their very own Wi-Fi, IP address change, all that stuff. Yeah, there's no Russia, only Germany and Italy. And then, of course, I guess teams are composed by people all around the world, which was very interesting, very interesting. So this was the very first autonomous car race in the history of the world, people, in the history of the world. But there will be more. The A2RL, Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League, is planning on having 2 races in 2025, one in Asia and one in Europe, and then in 2026 they're planning on having 3 races. If you're like, well, that kind of sucked, you're right. This is only the beginning, and this might be a bit more niche. This might not be something that's going to be as crazy as Formula 1 or Formula Electric. This might just be a race for teams to, well, you know, compare technology and penises. So that might be what this race is for. A bit like the races that some universities do for Mars rovers and things like that. So if that keeps on being there, well, at least it's being broadcasted and people are learning more about this, because self-driving cars are already on our routes. They're already in Canada. There's already self-driving technologies implementing in most new cars. And yes, Mercedes has the very first FSD, like full self-driving, and you don't even need to touch the steering wheel. So that, I don't know when it's going to come here. In Canada, I'm saying, because we are here in broadcasting live from British Columbia, Vancouver. But that means that this is happening, and Tesla has the full self-drive. Now, Tesla has a strike mechanism on its full self-drive, meaning you need to hold the steering wheel. You can't unbuckle. Like, there's some things you cannot do while in use, while using or activating the full self-drive. They do that maybe for insurance reasons and legal reasons for sure, but also because it's not. It says full self-driving, but it's not yet full self-driving. And that has been an issue with Tesla in the beginning. When they started having the self-drive features, people thought it was really self-driving, which was kind of false advertising in a way. So they were in a few lawsuits with that, from what I know. Max Power says, have you seen the commercial for Waymo on YouTube? I have not, but I will look into that. Thank you, Max Power, for bringing that to my attention. So a commercial for Waymo. That makes a lot of sense that there is a commercial for Waymo, because, well, the robot taxis are coming soon, and those are going to be from Tesla. So Waymo, robot taxis, AI powered, again, autonomous vehicles, just like the Waymo, are making their way in like the mainstream, in like the mass of people in Canada, the United States of America. We will see a lot more of those within like a few years already, and that's without counting all of these car manufacturers who are implementing self-driving features into their vehicles, and they can also implement it with just one update. So what Elon Musk said recently about Tesla is that all of the newer vehicles at the time of the recording of this video are actually going to have full self-drive in them. Then you just need to activate it or not, but it's going to be part of every new Tesla. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Model Y from Juniper, like the Juniper Model Y, and the new Model S and 3. So all of these new models will just have that possibility, that hardware capability is going to be there. You're just going to need to activate it if you want it, so pay for it pretty much in that sense. But let's say with me and my Model X 2016, the thing is I can't really like activate that because I would need to have this hardware before having the software, and it's an older model. But all software implementations are going to be easier to put in. A bit like with an iPhone, you want to be able to update every time without necessarily updating the hardware, only software. I think it's a great thing for the future, mostly for the environment, definitely less waste. You don't need to change the whole car, you just do a software update and it's still good to go. Then after that, it makes less problems, less hardware, less manutention and all that. And if Elon said that all of the cars will have full self-drive, it's maybe because at one point, I'm not saying it's going to be free, but it might be implemented in all cars anyway. It's going to be the new normal. So you're going to purchase a car, it's going to have the full self-drive, and you won't have to pay for it. Maybe this paying is just an early adopter. Maybe later on, the government of Canada, let's say, is going to implement regulations so that all new cars sold have to have full self-driving in them. For safety reasons and many other reasons, a bit like they're saying that in 2035, all new vehicles sold have to be electric vehicles. Again, that depends on the country in which you are from or where you are residing right now, but it's going to be very interesting to look at. We have Max Power saying, and there is also a video of a Waymo car going rogue. Yeah, I think I've seen that one. So the Waymo, if you don't know what that is a Google's self-driving or more like AI autonomous car. And yes, sometimes one of them did go rogue. I mean, it makes sense. It's autonomous. Sometimes there's a problem in code. I mean, if your computer bugs, there's a chance that the car will bug. But again, if there's somebody in it and we can kind of control them to a distance, it's still safer. So far from the data we're seeing, a self-driving car with a human behind the wheel is still way safer than a human behind the wheel. I mean, you're adding on all of this extra sensors. You don't have eyes behind your ear, like your head. You don't. The car does. The car literally has eyes behind their head. It has sensors everywhere. It has, either radar, LiDAR. It has not all cars, because it came to my attention that Tesla cars don't have LiDARs, which is very interesting. So that being said, I'm Piper. This podcast is While You Wait for Your EV to Charge. Super cool. And this was the live broadcast of the first ever autonomous car race, which happened in Abu Dhabi. There will be more like this. It just came to my attention this morning when I woke up, so I decided to broadcast it and react to it in real time, because this is quite fascinating to be able to make history with all of these people and be there in real time. Now, it was a very long race with not that much racing, quite frankly. It was 8 laps and went down to 7 and then 6. So it's just, I mean, they wanted somebody to win, you know. so they lowered the standard. It was too crazy. We will be seeing a little bit more of that. If you do have information about races like that, or channels that you follow that are a bit more niche but are still involving newer technologies related to vehicles, not just electric, but technologies related to vehicles, this is what we talk about on this channel, mostly electric vehicles. But again, technology and EV kind of go hand in hand right now. It is pretty much where the future is aligning. So thank you to everybody for being here. This was great. I mean, this was super awesome. I think we can wrap this up right now. And if ever you want to see more of me and everything else related to electric vehicles, entertainment, and of course, a little bit of insight, make sure that you check out our podcast playlist. It's called While You Wait, the podcast. We also have videos where I go park for free, find free electricity, and many other really entertaining videos, short format, long format, on our YouTube channel. So I will see you there. If you want to support the channel, make sure you go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/2girls1electric-car. Yes, all of your support makes it possible for us to continue creating these amazing podcasts and go on road trips to bring you a lot of entertainment, because we are not yet monetized on YouTube at the time of this recording, but we are working on it. Please share this with everybody you know, so that we can get these watch hours and these subscribers and monetize this channel till later on do more crazy adventures. Yeah, so that's it for now, and have a great one.